YT Productions.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson. And you gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, boy. You gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee State, tune into the HBCU Sports.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, or maybe not so fast. You don't see him on the screen. I'm riding solo today. So welcome to episode 154 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports from institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. As I said, they're not in the studios today. They are on assignment. However, we are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studio with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode is of Inside HBCU Sports Lab. It's sponsored by THC Agency. THC Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Today's show will be a good one. We'll be discussing the latest HBCU news in sports, coming up with the interview with Dr. Trayvean Scott, the new Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Grambling State University, the G. So this should be fascinating of what all things considered. As I jump into it, I did really want to get into that news. I thought that's a big announcement with the Atlanta Hawks announcing the inaugural Sekou, if you would, program, this Sekou Smith Summer League experience. That's pretty amazing when you think about it in so many different ways. So I want to see what your thoughts on something like that. Obviously, many of you all know that Sekou passed tragically this past January due to COVID. As we know, he was just 48, but he was a huge person in the NBA. They covered it. Obviously, is a huge fan of the SWAC, Southwestern Athletic Conference, his alma mater, Jackson State University. And so the fact that they're doing this for him, I think, is really big. Let me give you some particulars what the students will receive in regards to this opportunity. An all expense paid trip to the NBA Summer League, including flights and hotel accommodation with the per diem for meals and incidentals. Roy knows this. Anytime that you can get your per diem taken care of, that's always a good thing. The opportunity for the work appear with the Hawks.com and the team's other digital properties and social media channels. Collaborative experience with the Hawks PR and digital content teams on featured assignments, mentorship meeting with some of the most respected journalists in the NBA, including close colleagues of Smith. Internship summaries for intern work up on the direction of basketball communications. Who's eligible is important in terms of the students. They must be able to travel to Las Vegas from that August 1st to the 18th. They must be 21 years of old as of August 1st, 2021, and must fully be COVID vaccinated by August 20, in terms of August 1st, 2021, I should say. Big deal. So make sure you get your information out. You can go to hbcugameday.com. They got particulars on how you can apply. You can also go to hawks.com and get some information on that. So with that, I want to get into it. Give me some shout outs for those that follow us today. See what people's comments, anything they want me to check out, talk about a little bit. We'll get into it. Let me shout out LaShawn Harris, Jalen Riley. Chad Cooper says, good evening, professors from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Go Jags. I see you, Chad Cooper. Get on out there. Willie Alex Hines, good evening with 3 great professors from CIAA land. Man, I'll let them know. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. They skipping class. You know how they go. You're supposed to be students skipping class, not the professor. Ricky Burton says, ready for the lab. Let's get it in. Southern Cal, Karen Griffin. AD is checking in with the guys and stuff like that in the nature. Come on, check in, AD. Let me know what your thoughts are. Chad Cooper is watching. As I said, Alan Malone, Doc, can we discuss a 14 Black College playoff? Man, yeah, we can get into that. I know Roy is a fan of that. We might figure out what that looks like. The biggest issue you have with a 14 playoff, let me start on that side. I think the fans would have some interest in what that looks like. But with the divisional classifications is where I struggle in terms of how you're going to get these presidents, commissioners to come together to get that. Obviously, you're looking at the CIAA. You're looking at as well as the SIAC and the SWAC and the MEAC. Then the other question is, what do you do with the independents? What do you do with the independent programs? How are you going to functionally put them in the program? And then when you talk about those independents, are you going to try to include them? How many teams are you talking about? You can go with just the 4 conference, automatic bids to the champions of the East League, or are you talking about just a 14 playoff? Or would you like to jump it to 8, where you have 4 automatic qualifiers, if you would, each of the champions, and then you have at-large bids for the independent and maybe the strongest teams that are ranked in some type of poll ranking system to go up to 8, or do you even cut it to 6, giving a bye to the top team? So those are some questions that come in when you look at in terms of what does that look like. But with that said, the trouble you have are 2 things. It's who's going to pay for this. You know, ESPN has already put the money up on the Celebration Bowl. Are you trying to incorporate the Celebration Bowl in the playoffs? And that contract just started 6 years. So at best, you have to wait to the 6 years if you're not incorporating ESPN in this and seeing ESPN trying to create a playoff, or you talking about the fact that you would have to have the money to pick it up in any way. And so with that going on, I think we're going to have AD Drew to come on in here, jump in here and see if he can give us some assistance, see what he thinks on this 14 playoff. So yeah, we'll bring him in here shortly. See what his thoughts on that. But as we're doing that, as we get to going and we're trying to figure out, I still want you all to consider, how are you going to fund it? Who's going to be the big funder of this? If you're asking the presidents to fund it, then that means you're asking them to put up the money. And there really isn't that type of money, disposable income involved with the conferences that currently exist. And so usually that's why you see like a ESPN put the money in terms of doing a classic event, or you would have a promoter that come in and decide that they want to do it. Then you still have to have the issues of getting it sanctioned by the NCAA. So those are the things that that you need to consider in terms of what that looks like. And so that's where I struggle in terms of the reality of trying to get that done. There's so many moving parts in terms of functionally making that. Not to really debate whether it's something that the fans would appreciate or something that could generate revenue. Yeah, it could be that, but who's going to fund it up front to get it to the point where it's generating revenue? So those are some of the questions I have. Willie Alex Hines challenged in and says, playoffs is an interesting question. How do you select the 4 teams exactly? Do you include only the conference champs, just D1, like Doc said, D2, independent. So chime in and give me some more of your thoughts in terms of how you're going to try to put this conference tournament together if we really want to get into some of this conversation of what that looks like. So that's where I struggle. And we haven't even gotten to the point we're talking about the NAIA teams. And just like previously when they had the ESPN with the Celebration Bowl, they had to put enough money in to get the MEAC schools to move away from the playoffs. Remember, there was a large amount of contention by at least a couple of teams in the MEAC that liked the idea of moving forward and seeking the playoffs. So where is that at? How many folks are ready to leave the Celebration Bowl for a playoff that we don't know how it's going to be funded? So those are some of the things that this comes off my head in terms of how you look at it. Let me get in here and get some more comments here. Kay Johnson says, good evening, Sports Lab, Fanatics, time for the election. 154, yeah, let's go. Playoff location. I like that question. Question in hand. Where do you have the playoff location? Do you play it on the higher seed home campus? Do you try to get a neutral location? And if you have 4 teams, that means you're at least playing over 2 weeks because you have your semifinal rounds and then your finals round. So that means if you're going to have central locations, that means you need 2 locations, Atlanta, Houston, New Orleans, Charlotte. Where are your locations? Memphis? Are you considering that you're starting to get into the cold weather? So are you just limited to places where you have dome roof facilities? That may include Dallas. What are your concerns going back to cities that already host the game? You know, we threw in Atlanta. They have a Celebration Bowl, but are you talking about moving away from that? So then that's maybe open. New Orleans, obviously, you had the Bayou Classic that was played there and would be played there in less than 2-3 weeks from that date, certainly less than a month. Southern Heritage Classic in Memphis. What does that look like? I think we have AD Drew jumping in here, so let's see if he has any thoughts as we get going.
How you doing this evening, Doc?
I'm good, good. Appreciate you calling in and giving some. You see, the people want to know about playoffs. You've heard some of
I heard you talking about it, yeah.
Teams. Do you, one, think having the playoffs is an even valid idea? And if you do, you see 4 teams, 6 teams, 8 teams. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, it's kind of interesting, you know. 8 is such a good number. You know, you don't have to worry about buys and, you know, worry about the seed because everybody's going to play. Everybody plays the same amount of games. That's why I love the number 8, 16, you know, multiples of 4 when it comes to seeding things like that, Doc.
So you bypassing 4. So you don't like the idea of just the 4 HBCU conferences having.
I love 4.
You want more
I love 4. The problem with the 4 is how many times have we seen 2 good teams on the same side of a conference? 2 good teams in the SWAC East or 2 good teams in the SIAC West or something like that. So
the gentleman that quietly a fan of Prairie View A&M University, I guess most people know this by now. I saw that quite a bit between Southern and Grambling, where we were arguably the second best team in the conference, but couldn't play for a conference championship game because we were in the same division as Grambling and Southern. Some people from Southern and Grambling may argue that they were the best teams over the last 15 years in play. So great point you make there is of why you want to expand it past just the single team.
And the big boys do it. The big boys do it with their college football playoff. So why not allow, you know, how many times has Alabama lost the SEC championship game or not even gotten to the SEC championship game, but still wind up in the college football playoff? We've seen it with LSU and Ohio State and Clemson. So, hey, let us benefit from it too. If we're gonna do it, let's do it at least at that same level, if not better.
True. We got a comment on here, and I'm gonna ask Alan Malone to maybe expound on a little bit. But he says concern is that we don't have a true HBCU champion. Plus, FBS doesn't even acknowledge us. Certainly understand that some people would want to see I'm gonna call it on the field champion. He says true champion, but all championships are made up. I don't want to go too much off the radar with this, but history. Don't be fooled by the NCAA registering a playoffs or the BCS registering a playoffs, Division II having a playoffs. All these are manufactured. You have your regular season, and then there's some kind of formula that dictates who goes to the playoffs. Division II, they do it by regions and who has the highest seed. You do it at the FCS, you get have automatic teams and at-large teams. But to your point, there's a selection committee that puts that together in that manner. So all those things are kind of like made up. I mean, humans make the playoffs up like that. So right. Drew, we have our guest, so we're going to go to this quick break. We're going to do an interview. You can either stay with us in the interview or come back on the second half because I want to finish some of this talk here. But before we do that, this is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We're going to head into our first quarter break after a great first quarter as we got into it with the people chiming in. We'll be back after the break. Don't be surprised. We will have none other than Dr. Trayvean Scott, Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Grambling State University. He'll be on with us right after this quick break. Let's go to the break now.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
I'm attorney Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being heard.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSU Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
It was a monumental game for A&M and Tampa. It was a monumental game. Somebody had to lose, and thank God it was them this time.
We knew it was going to be a battle. Look at Jake Ave's record. 202 and 36, I think. Some off-the-wall figures.
And nobody would play him because they didn't want to take a chance of getting beat. But the truth of it is,
over 46,000 tickets. Blacks were sitting in the east stands. Whites were sitting in the west stands. And the score wound up 34-28.
The only thing we proved that we wasn't inferior, that we were not inferior, and we were not afraid.
For one night, for 160 minutes, we was better than them.
They play, how they play, boy, you gon' learn today. How you say they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAG, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay, tune into the.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. As you heard by now, I'm riding solo, but I got the big boss in the house now, man. He didn't came up. Man, I'm so proud and excited for him. Mike and Charles on assignment, but I have none other than Dr. Scott. That is Dr. Trayvean Scott, the Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics. Let me first say congratulations. And how does it feel?
Man, thank you. It still doesn't feel real. It's been a blur. since I got the phone call last Tuesday, and I was actually in New Orleans at a staff retreat, with our athletic department down at Southern, and from
Always
Tuesday, having to get to Baton Rouge to get up to Grambling and to get situated and to get my family ready. It's been a blur. It's been exciting. It hadn't really sunk in yet because I hadn't stopped going since I got back. But I am so excited to represent that G, and so excited to get started. Matter of fact, I got named on Thursday, so I've been going since Thursday. So it's a great day. Again, I'm excited to represent that G and these Grambling State University Tigers, and ready to get started and make an impact.
No doubt about it. We got time, so we'll get into a little bit different perspective. But I want to start off a little bit, if you would, to go inside that. We've had a chance to interview some athletic directors, vice presidents of intercollegiate athletics. Some of them have been in the job a while. Some of them were starting out. But one question, since you talked about getting that call, if you would take us into that a little bit. I mean, you don't have to tell us necessarily what was said.
Sure.
But if you would, give us a little insight when you get the call. How do you react? Are they saying that, you got the job? Is this like when you see people get drafted and they get the call, do they kind of tease it out of you a little bit? Or do they come in and say, hey, you are my man? Who's calling you? Is it the president of the university, the search firm? How does that work? We got a little break there. You good? Well, as he's getting straight with the camera work there, we'll see if we can plug it in. I think he's on the road and moving around. And so that's probably a little bit of a signal back and forth there. So what we'll do is we'll see if we can take a quick break and bring it back in and get it going again and get him straight. We were really just to get in to touch a little bit. You're talking about a hell of a tease. That's what you get going on in a lot of ways when you get those teasers coming in. But let's go out of this break. Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We'll see if we can straighten this out during the break and see if we can get Trayvean back in to finish up this interview and really get to some of that good comments that he seemed to get excited, man. I was a hell of a tease, bro. Hell of a tease. Let's go to the break and we'll be right back.
Have you had your Earth Blend coffee today? At Earth Blend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earth Blend Coffee.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, Don't delay. Call Cuvée.
They play, how they play, boy, you gon' learn today. How your team they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC, and let me say, what's up?
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. That's Dr. Scott. Dr. Scott, if you need a personal assistant, assistant to the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, let me know. I know Grambling got the big bank. You got a big budget. You negotiated that coming in the frame door. I know you got the money, man. Hold you up, man. I got you. I can work for the G. I can work for the G.
That G is serious, isn't it? I tell you, I try to. I'm reaching out and trying to speak to every major alumnus, every contributor, every stakeholder, everybody who is synonymous with Grambling and that G and that brand, just to let them know what our vision is, just to let them know of our commitment to upholding that tradition, that history, that pageantry that is Grambling State University Athletics. And so, it's something that we're taking seriously now. It's not lost. It's not lost on us at all with regard to the responsibility that we have to be able to move Grambling State University Athletics forward. So still in the process. Actually, I'm actually, once I finish with you, I'm going to have a meeting with one of our other major alums who we all know. And so we're going to talk through some things and, get that feedback and understand from an alum's perspective, specifically those as a former student athlete, on what the expectation is. And we're not going to shy away from it. We're going to attack it, but we're going to attack it with the understanding that it's a us thing, right? And we're going to bring everybody to the table as much as we can, and we're going to get this thing together and start moving forward as an athletic department.
I want to get into the vision a little more, but before we do that, we teased everybody, and everybody seems they want to know now that I put it out there. As we go back to the question before we went to the break, asking a little bit of giving us some type of insight in terms of, how when they call, you were in the middle of working, you get this call, and you probably might recognize the number, you might not, and you're like, you ready to answer the phone. Who calls? Is it the president? Is it the search firm, or is it somebody else? How does that work?
So it was actually the associate vice president for human resources, and so she called. Lori Williams called, and I just wanted to sit and listen and hear what she had to say. And as she started to advance the conversation, it started to become apparent that I was the choice. And so, there was a smile there. There were tears of joy there. But immediately I started to shift into transition mode and what I needed to do, over the course of the next, 48, 72 hours to prepare to get there. I immediately pulled the AD out of the session. Southern's AD, Roland Banks, has been a tremendous asset for me. And so he was the first person I wanted to tell. So I took him into one of our breakout rooms and had a discussion, and he may have been happier than I was. Not because he's getting rid of it, because he knows, he understands, exactly how much work we've been able to do for me to get to this point. And so he was elated. I then pulled most of the compliance and academic staff. Once I finished with them, I wanted to make sure that we had the conversation. And then I went in and told the general body. And so it was a lot of tears in the room, not just for me, but for my coaches and our staff as well. We're all sad to see me go. I know I am, and I know they are. But they were so excited, as am I, for the opportunity that lies ahead.
Man, I really appreciate you sharing that insight. You don't get a chance to have that. It's really special. Obviously, in a lot of ways, you're coming behind a legend in itself, Dr. Ponton, who similar to himself, is a Southernite in terms of being his alma mater, but he first transitioned in the coaching side and developed that chemistry. So a lot of folks recognize him just as much with Grambling, if not more than Grambling now with Southern. And I'm sure that is the direction that you want to do, that you want to have that type of level of success, that you become synonymous with Grambling.
Absolutely. Coach P did an outstanding job in his term as athletic director. Before that, in his term as the vice president for student affairs. Before that, as the dean of students. Before that, as the head women's basketball coach. And he has ingratiated himself with all things Grambling. And so, you would have to actually consult with a SWAC historian to even know that Coach P graduated from Southern and is a Southern Athletics Hall of Famer. I tell you that he's one of the best point guards to ever play at Southern. And there was a gentleman who came behind him named Avery Johnson who shattered all of his records. But yeah, Coach P has been a great resource. He was probably one of the first to call and congratulate me and make himself available. His family has been great. He's got a lot of family in the Baton Rouge area, and so he's equally as excited. He's also been a point of reference for a lot of things that that obviously we want to accomplish, and things that he didn't get a chance to finish up, or things that he didn't get a chance to start. And so I'm inheriting a great staff. We're going to surround the staff that we have with some other great vital parts of transformational leaders in different areas, so that we can make it what we want it to be. But it's only that because of the contributions that Coach P has made to our athletic department, to President Gallo and his transformational leadership, his out-the-box thinking, the way that he provides concepts and thinks and relates to people was one of the key figures and contributors, and to me, actually wanted to accept the position. And Martin Lamel, the Chief Operating Officer, he and I speak probably about 2 or 3 times a day. I think I'm wearing him out. But he has valuable insight on all things Grambling, valuable insight on things in terms of resources and the way of doing business at Grambling. And so all in all, the transition has been great. Right now, I'm working 2 jobs full-time simultaneously, trying to make sure that we close out and we transition Southern to where there's no drop-off there, but also that we get off to a fast start, if you will, so that when we get to Grambling, we're all systems go. The kind of the all gas, no brakes concept.
I can appreciate that. Well, I'm gonna cut you some slack. I came in here teasing you about not returning calls and things of that nature. But since you're working 2 jobs, that says a lot. So I'll step back a little bit and rib you on the other side. But let's take a quick break, and we'll continue the conversation, because I want to get into your vision and talk a little bit about what you were able to do and get done at Southern at working at such a high level in concert with the athletic director. I want to know to some degree, how much will that help you? And so give you a chance to think about that. We'll do that right after this break. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington Charles Bishop, interviewing Dr. Trayvean Scott, the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, Grambling State University. Boy, that show sounds good. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Are you hungry? They play, how they play, boy, you gon' learn today. How you say they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAG, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay, tune into the HBCU.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington Charles Bishop. We're interviewing none other than Dr. Trayvean Scott, Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics. And I am for real, he is the hardest working man in the business. Break, he's on the call serving problems and serving issues. And that's why things coming in and out a little bit. So bear with us, because he's literally on the clock getting the job done in so many different ways. So we appreciate you extending this time to us to do that. As I went out in the break, I asked you about your previous role as the Deputy Athletic Director and Chief Operating Officer. So I wanted to know learning the ropes in that capacity, how will that help transition to the top role at Grambling, such an iconic program?
Well, I think it's invaluable. I think the experiences that I was able to gain, the opportunity that was afforded to me by Southern, has prepared me in all facets of athletic administration. I think, Southern has a brand of its own. And so being able to be one of the stewards primarily of the brand in terms of athletics in that capacity helps me to understand exactly the expectation of how we need to move forward. And so I think that was something that attracted me to the opportunity, and something that attracted them to me is that having that understanding, being in the state, understanding the brand identity that comes with that G, right? And then understanding the challenges that we face day to day with resources, and with some of the other elements that I wouldn't say we struggle with, but that provide opportunity for growth. And so that's the experience I think that has catapulted me and prepared me. And so I'm going to take that opportunity forward with regard to my vast experience across the landscape, and hopefully trying to implement some of the things that we can implement. Obviously, we're going to retrofit them to Grambling and not do something, that's so specific. We're going to make it fit us. We're going to make it fit what we do, and we're going to move forward. And like I said, I keep saying it, that G is synonymous with greatness. That G is synonymous with history, with tradition, with pageantry. And so, to be able to take some of the elements that I've learned, whether that be in sport administration or academics or compliance, or fundraising or game operations or grant writing or any of the other things that we've been able to accomplish during our tenure here, is going to prove invaluable. It's helped me really to start fast, if you will, toward starting to shape the senior level administration, starting to put some things together organizationally to make us efficient once the beginning of August hits and some of our sports start to return for the fall season.
Man, speaking up there, we got some of the young guns. I mean, you got Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, Kevin Granger, working on his doctorate. You got Ashley Robinson, young gun, over there at Jackson State, Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics. The point guards are taking over. You talk about Tom. I mean, they said you had a little skills there too. And then that's not even talking to the fact that you have Courtney Gaucher, Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics over there at Florida A&M. I say all that to say is that it's enriching in a lot of ways to see this breath of fresh air and how you all go about working your program and stretching the envelope and not necessarily being satisfied with the status quo. And that's not to talk bad about the other individuals, but they've been in that role in a while. Now you got these younger guys, younger guns, as I like to say it, in terms of how they see the current framework of athletics. Speak about that a little bit. Is there something to that, or am I just getting excited?
No, I think it is. I think it's young, innovative, transformational leadership. I tell you, the most valuable part of that, literally before I got on, I was on the phone with A.D. Robinson. A day before I took the Grambling State job, I had a 2.5-hour conversation with VP Gaucher. Just 2 days ago, I was in a text conversation with VP Granger. And that's, like you said, it's not to take anything away from any of the other ADs. But we've got a unique relationship in that we all kind of came up similarly in regards to working our way up in athletics. We all are relatively young. I believe we're all probably, young 40s, low 40s on down. Courtney Gaucher being the youngest. But we all share ideas. We share best practices. VP Gaucher and I are talking about, some fundraising things. And Ashley Robinson, VP Robinson and I just talked about some personnel items. When I spoke to VP Granger, we were talking about, the importance of getting off to a fast start. And so those three gentlemen, obviously, along with Roman Banks, I've gotten calls from Derek Horn over at Alcorn State, have been really key in guiding me and instilling in me the confidence to move forward. And so, listening to their advice and their advisement, understanding their path, understanding their struggles. A lot of our struggles are the same, but a lot of them are different as well. And so we're able to exchange those best practices and those ideas. And hopefully it does well for me, because if it does well for me and us, it does well for the G. And so, iron sharpens iron. And so, if I could do anything for them, obviously, if they could do anything for me, we're in constant communication. We have a constant understanding of the landscape. And like I said, we share ideas and we share a love for athletic administration, a love for HBCUs, and a very healthy respect and love for one another. And so I wish them well every week in every contest until they go against that G.
Well, you've been a hot commodity, and with people coming to you to look at you potentially being the athletic director. I'm not sure if I'll name the institutions because I don't want to put it in the spot. But being as competitive you are you going to look at driving Grambling and the G based on the brand itself? Are you going to be ready to bust some heads, as they say, from a VP of Intercollegiate Athletics perspective in regards to some of these schools that maybe not pull the trigger at a given time? Does any of that go into play, or is this more about your vision? And if that's the case, talk a little bit about both, or just the vision that you have for Grambling. What are some of the things?
I think it's more about the vision. I think every opportunity, it's like dating. You have to like her, she have to like you. You all have to like each other. And some of those opportunities, I like the school, and they didn't like me back, or didn't like me enough to take me on a date. And then in some other opportunities, it was the same way. They maybe like me more than I like them. What I looked for in this opportunity was obviously the brand identity, obviously the ability to have transformational leadership, and the ability to affect change. And that's what, through my conversations with the search committee, through my conversations with President Gallo, and through self-reflection and understanding this process. This has been a long, arduous 10-year process. I've developed an understanding of what exactly I wanted. I didn't just want to be an AD, and I didn't just want to be an AD anywhere. I wanted to be an AD with a specific institution with a specific type of leadership that would share my vision. Their vision aligns with mine and mine with theirs, and have an understanding of that vision and pushing it forward. And that vision for us is simple. Again, that G is synonymous with greatness. And, whenever you start talking about being great in athletics, there are a couple of different variables that you must put at the forefront. Obviously, the first is competitive excellence, academic success, APR, graduation success, wins and losses. How do you win? How do you lose, right? Do you win the games you're supposed to win? That also goes into a fundraising piece. How do we generate revenue outside of the state general budget? How do we galvanize? How do we leverage corporate partnerships? But more importantly, how do we leverage stakeholders that is the G? How do we leverage former student athletes? How do we leverage alums? How do we leverage corporate partners? And so that's important as well. The next part of that, obviously, is our facilities. College football and college athletics at large is an arms race, right? And so, obviously, if you're doing what you have to do academically, then competitively, you can go and represent the institution at the highest levels, whether that be postseason, revenue generator, whether that be through game guarantees, revenue generator. But also, if you're winning the games that you're supposed to win, you're doing the things that you want to do academically, gives us the ability to be able to generate funds to be able to improve the student athlete experience. First and foremost, that deals with facilities, obviously, and what we want to do to try to level the playing field for our student athletes. Obviously, with name, image, and likeness, and the transfer portal, the one-time transfer exception now being granted, we have to do all we can to make sure that we can keep our student athletes on campus, that we can give them every resource that we can, that we can keep them as eligible as possible, and that we can provide the best possible athletic experience for our student athletes as possible. So those are my top three priorities coming in. Like I said, obviously, putting a team that complements one another and does things the right way in the best interest of the institution is another goal of mine. And being able to establish and reestablish and perpetuate that brand, take it to higher levels is also a goal of mine. And so with all of those things, I think we'll be successful faster. And so we're putting those pieces together now in anticipation of getting up to Grambling and Ruston and getting this year started for our student athletes.
I want to take a question from our viewers out there. If you would, JMac Core 360 Sports, and this is interesting to me. He said, what would you like to see from us, the media, to raise the profile of Grambling State and HBCU sports in general? And so I'm saying he's probably talking about HBCU media specifically, but overall as well.
Well, you know what? I think that's a twofold proposition. I think, it's our responsibility to spread the good news at our institutions. It's our responsibility to highlight our student athletes. It's our responsibility to put them on the best platform possible. Before HBCU specific media starts to take that as well. I think once we're able to do that, then it makes your job easier, right? Everybody wants to tell good news. But also, we have, some entities that like to spread gossip, if you want me to be 100% with you. But, I think if we could conceivably put together a marketing model, a sports information plan to be able to galvanize and place our student athletes in positions where they can leverage not just their name, image, and likeness, but the word marks and the logos of our institutions. Then it makes it easier for the media, the HBCU specific media. In terms of what I want to see once that takes place, is to be around. Come to our institutions, learn our institutions. I was having a conversation today with our communications department on campus, and we were talking about the academic component and how we have all of this great programming. Our nursing school is up and coming. We've got a cybersecurity program. We just rolled out a PhD in criminal justice. And I'm telling her that's valuable for me. And the reason why it's valuable for me is because student athletes are students as well. And so as much information as we can put out for student athletes, specifically those that we're prospecting to come on our campuses, the better. And so with HBCU specific media, once that information kind of gets out there, then it provides the platform for you all to take it and run it and to be able to approach it from more of a mass media perspective to get the word out about the great things that are happening on our campuses.
No doubt. Perfect timing. We're going to go to this last break, have one question and let you talk to the people. So stick with us and then we'll let you get going. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We'll be back after our last break into the fourth quarter as it's game time, going down to it and see some final thoughts from Dr. Trayvean Scott, the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, Grambling State University. We'll be right back after this quick break. Maybe we won't go into a break. We'll just keep it going. Let's see what we finish this out. Let me jump back in here and ask this question. Some people come in with a 30, 60, 90 degree plan, if you would, and part of that plan can be evaluation. Do you subscribe to that platform? And could you give us some basic frameworks of what a 30, 60, 90 day plan looks like?
Sure. I'll break it down this way. Listen, learn, conceptualize.
Authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta will find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
They play, how they play, boy, you gon' learn today. How your team they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee?
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. As you know, they're out on assignment, and I'm interviewing Dr. Trayvean Scott, the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics at Grambling State University. Won't get into the fact that he's a doctor and he lectures classes. I'm trying to make sure he understands the value of that tenure. We're gonna get that in there as well. But I won't begrudge him on that, because we're gonna see if we can recruit him to teach a class or two as an adjunct with our new program that we have at Texas Southern University that you helped get me. It looks like, because we have now the first HBCU that has concentration at the doctoral level in sports education. So we're gonna bring you in as an adjunct. So I'm holding you to that one. You don't have
a class of 2 or 3. I love teaching. Great.
There you go. That'll work. With that being said, we jumped off when we were looking at 30, 60, 90 degree evaluation. What does that mean to you? And is that something that you believe in from your framework?
Oh, absolutely. Again, I think it's key to being able to get off to a fast start, but it's also key in being able to understand the landscape of your department. And so, initially I said, the first 30 days we were going to listen. I see it now in all of the conversations that I've had with, again, different constituents, anyone from the family of Eddie Robinson to Doug Williams to Shaq Harris. I've had those conversations already. I think we're going to have to extend these first 30 days, and we're going to extend it out probably to 60, maybe 75 or 90 days of listening, because let me tell you something. The Grambling State brand and these alums, they're serious. The expectations that they have for their university and their athletic department are real. And so, again, as a custodian of that, we have the ability where we have to listen. We have to learn. We almost have to listen twice as much as we talk so that we can develop an understanding for what's to come. And so right now we're doing a lot of listening. We started Thursday. We're not going to stop. We're also doing some planning. So there's a listening piece. There's a learning piece. There's an acting piece, right? Being able to formulate a structure for how you want to move forward. And then there's an implementation piece. And I can tell you, once that piece starts to subside, somewhere close to, I would guess, the Thanksgiving weekend, which is in conjunction with some other major event that we have every year, is that we'll start to provide the framework for our 2022 to 2027 strategic plan that we're going to roll out sometime in January. And so those plans are already underway. We're having a lot of conversations while still preparing for the year. We've got 3 great home games on tap for our football team. We've got some great soccer that's going to be played, volleyball, cross country. And so we've got those things that are getting ready to take place. And so we're planning and going through that process simultaneously. But we don't want to jeopardize competitive excellence and the competitive success of what we have before us. We've also have gotten some policy and procedural things, obviously, with the Return to Campus initiative and COVID-19 and its impact. Even though we're returning to campus, COVID-19 hadn't gone anywhere. And so we've got to leverage that. There's also that relationship and being able to steward donors and corporate partners and folks for individual and major gifts and again, leveraging our former student athletes and encouraging them to have as much access as they could possibly stand. Opening those doors, I tell them, if the door was closed, it's now open. And if it was open, now it's open wider because we're going to do this. We got to do it together. And so having that mindset and having that understanding throughout the process of that 30, 60, 90 plan, I believe is going to carry us forward.
No doubt about it. I know you could do it longer than this, but in a quick minute, let me allow you to have the last word of what you want to say to the Grambling faithful out there. The G.
The G. To everybody, every alum, every stakeholder, every person who has a love for this G on my chest, for every former student athlete who's worn it on their hats, who's worn it on their backs, who's worn it on their chests. This is an opportunity for us to rally around to bring Grambling State University athletics to its rightful place. Again, I take this appointment through President Gallo and the search committee very seriously. And we want to be excellent in everything. We were talking today about, some things that we wanted to establish. And early on, the thing that I've been saying is this is the G. And the reason why is because I'm a kid from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a couple minutes away from a rival institution. And when I saw the G, I didn't see the University of Georgia. I didn't see Georgetown University. I didn't see the Green Bay Packers. I saw Grambling State University. And so having that understanding of what that G means, and secondarily, we're gonna have the mindset that we want to win at everything. We want to win in sports. We want to win in class. We want to win in the community. We want to win in engaging our alums. We want to be that institution that has the notoriety and the brand identity to be able to perpetuate that excellence and that sustainable success for years to come. And so that's our goal. That's our mission. But we can't do it alone. We need everybody at the table, every idea, every thought, every concept. We need it. We need everyone to come together because we are going to do this together. I'm very excited to be the director of athletics. I'm getting used to this vice president stuff. I've worked and we've worked 10 years to be an athletic director, and then I get here and they tell me I'm a vice president. So that's new and different. But I take it very seriously, the opportunity to represent all of the things, all of the history that G entails. And so, that responsibility is not lost on us, and we're going to get ready and we're going to do the best job we can for Grambling State University.
No doubt about it. I will say this in closing as I let you go and say thank you for the extended time, but I'm very excited for you personally. I've seen the work that you put in. We've actually had some great conversations. You allowed me
many conversations.
Put in some great consulting work. So you need us on any information that you want to get out to the people, you can have that. And then also in terms of the consulting work that we do, any of that you need, don't hesitate. Do not hesitate, I should say. We're right here with you. We want to see you do well. We believe you will do well. And it's just a matter of time of you getting it going. So we are extremely excited for you and believe that this will be transformational in so many different ways. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anything you all need from me, and you and I have had many conversations. And again, I think, a lot of people don't know this, but we've had conversations, and I've bounced ideas off of you about the things that I needed to be looking for. We talked about things obviously in the classroom, from a higher ed perspective, from a sport management perspective. So I want to thank you, for helping me get to this point. And again, just like I won't let the Tiger Nation down, I'm not going to let you down either. So we're ready to roll. We're excited. You need anything from us, just give me a buzz and we'll get it done.
No doubt about it. So thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the HBCU Sports Lab, College of Sports, with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We hope you enjoyed our interview with Dr. Trayvean Scott, the Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics. As he said, he used to that in shooting for the AD role, but he landed on a VP role. That's all right. That's getting it done. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We will be moving to Sunday as the fall is coming in. It will be exciting with 2 additional members of the expanded Southwestern Athletic Conference. With that, follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's DrKenyatta Cavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1. That is on Twitter, Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. And we landed another free agent from Southern. We have Carlos Brown joining the BCSN network. And don't be surprised if you hear a little something about BJ Jones. We might be creeping around, seeing what we can do for that. We got a loaded deck at BCSN, my JBN, my BCSN. Download the app. Come on with you. See what we do. We'll bring you those top interviews in terms of those that are really making our HBCU goals, particularly those in the SWAC. We get it done. With that, dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Course, lecture dismissed.
YT Productions.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson. And you gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, boy. You gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay. Tune into the HBCU Sports Lab with Dr.